Hi there, and welcome to What the Flick. I am guesting on the show since everybody's out of town except for the wonderful Christy Lemire.
Who are you?
I'm Tim Grierson, of course. I write for the New Republic and Screen International. We are here to talk about the Huntsman Winters War. Christy drew the short straw and is going to describe this movie.
The Huntsman Winters War, we get punctuation here. So if you liked Frozen but thought it wasn't angry enough, you now have the Huntsman Winters War. It's essentially Frozen, but with more action and violence. So Charlize Theron is back from the first movie, Snow White and the Huntsman. She has a younger sister played by Emily Blunt. Bad things happen. Emily Blunt gets pissed and realizes, I can shoot ice and snow from my fingertips in a fit of rage. So she exiles herself to the mountains where she creates her own kingdom and forms her own army. Perhaps this sounds familiar to you. This is a prequel to the Snow White and the Huntsman, but it's also kind of a sequel, but it's also kind of a spin-off. There's a lot going on here. Take a look.
Are you ready, Huntsman?
Aye.
I'm stronger than all of you.
Shall we find out?
I'm very confused about this movie. I don't know what it is. I don't know that it knows what it is.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks before the movie started screening to critics that I realized it actually was a prequel because I had completely forgotten about Snow White and the Huntsman. I just voided that movie from my memory.
Right. 4 years ago it came out.
Yeah, and then a colleague of mine said, oh, it's a prequel, but it's also a sequel. And I thought, oh, I'm curious to see what that is. And
And then you saw it.
yeah, Hollywood innovations are just so impressive. I mean, I think because Kristen Stewart didn't want to be a part of this movie, they had to kind of work around her essentially because she was Snow White. And one of the great things about this movie is that there's one moment where Snow White shows up in the film, but it's just a woman who has dark hair from the back.
It's a flashback, a brief glimpse of her in flashback.
Like staring at a mirror, but you only see the back of her. It's kind of a movie that does not need to exist, and it's difficult to justify the existence of a movie that does not need to exist. It has a bunch of actors that I think we both like. It has Chris Hemsworth, it has Jessica Chastain, it has Emily Blunt, it has Charlize Theron, and none of them have very much to do. And the best I think you can say for someone like Charlize Theron or Emily Blunt is they get to kind of camp it up. I think that's sort of the appeal of a movie like this, but that to me is not nearly enough of an appeal for a movie like this. I mean, I like Hemsworth, and I feel like he's playing the Huntsman character again, and once again the idea is he's supposed to be this kind of like cartoonish, heroic, kind of made out of wood kind of figure, but he has sort of this light touch to him. But again, it's kind of an action movie, kind of like a fairy tale in certain ways, but I found it not necessarily bad, but just deeply boring.
It's deeply boring and there's so much going on, but nothing to really grab you, right? So it is this thing with this rivalry with the two sisters. It is the forbidden romance between Chris Hemsworth and Jessica Chastain. It is about finding the mirror, right? There's a mirror. It's a Snow White movie, kinda, although I brought Nicholas with me and afterward he goes, I don't get it. It's a movie about Snow White, but Snow White's not even in it. What's up with that? So even he knows that's weird. And then we have wacky dwarfs for comic relief. Like the first movie, we have digitally rendered dwarfs, Nick Frost and Rob Brydon this time. And it's about all these things, but not in a way that gels ever.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Charlize Theron camping it up. I feel like she's in her own entire different movie. Like I want to see that movie because most of this movie is super dour and just one note and just, mud and snow and warrior princess badassness. Jessica Chastain, as multi-talented and versatile as she is, I don't know that warrior princess is a strong suit for her.
Well, she can shoot a bow and arrow now.
Okay.
We learned that.
Yes.
So in terms of her skill set, she can add that.
So when she gets called at the Hunger Games, when they call her as tribute.
She's ready. She's ready. But you mentioned Frozen, of course.
Yes, it's
but,
totally Frozen.
It's also Lord of the Rings
Yes.
because the mirror has a ring-like evil power where it makes you evil if you stare at it. And also just I think it's in general like the mud like everywhere and the kind of the dark, deep forest. Like there really is kind of a Lord of the Rings element to it. It's a first-time director. I think he did either production design or effects or some sort of work on the original film. And
he did visual effects. He got an Oscar nomination for visual effects in the first movie, yeah.
And so it's the kind of movie that feels like it's been production designed really well, and like the effects have been thought out, the costumes have been thought out really nicely.
Yes.
It's a nice movie to kind of glance at on the screen. But it's, again, they're kind of going on a mission in this movie. You mentioned kind of Rob Brydon and Nick Frost. I kept thinking Rob Brydon now has material for the third Trip movie to kind of talk about, because they really are just like you said, they are kind of the comic relief, and also Jessica Chastain and Chris Hemsworth. They in Emily Blunt's kingdom, love is not allowed, which I always kind of love, where there are kingdoms where love is not allowed.
You must not love.
Yeah, because it is sort of like an 8-year-old's version of like how love works and how kingdoms work.
Can't love.
Like can't love, but of
Not
course,
allowed.
within like 2 minutes of Emily Blunt making that proclamation, they fall in love.
And they have zero chemistry with each other, I should mention.
I
They find the one hot tub in all of this frozen kingdom, and still it is awkward. Part of it too, like the script
They
is
didn't
terrible.
bother me as much, I have to say. I actually kind of
Really?
like them too. I was going to say, for me, I was just to
Yes.
jump in. I said, for me, the problem is it's the they were in love, and then because of a complicated thing that's not worth describing, they no longer are in love, and so it's kind of like the Sam and Diane or African Queen sort of like thing where. Like, they don't like each other, but deep down they really do love each other, kind of thing.
Will they or won't they? And they will. But they're both talking in these kind of inconsistent Scottish accents,
Yes.
to the extent that Chris Hemsworth is like borderline unintelligible most of the time.
Yes.
And Jessica Chastain, again, talented as hell, can do most accents we would think, and hers kind of flits in and out. Nothing about that relationship made any kind of sense to me.
Yeah, her accent, if we're ranking accents, her accent is better, I think. His is just like, we're talking like Bane level in terms of, there were certain moments where I thought to myself, I'm not sure what he's saying, and the true test of a movie that's not working, I thought, I can't understand what he's saying. I don't think I care one way or the other.
It doesn't matter. And it's not even like Brad Pitt in Snatch where it's funny. It's
Yeah.
just hard to understand him. So yeah, this is not good. And yet, I don't, spoiler, there is the suggestion at the end that we will see a third Huntsman movie.
I'm hoping that I love being on this show. I'm
Okay.
hoping I will not be on the week that sequel is then shown, because
Right.
I don't want to have to talk about any more of these Huntsman movies.
Oh my
again.
God. You mentioned really fast the costumes. Colleen Atwood, the great Colleen Atwood, 11-time Oscar nominee, 3-time winner, who also did the clothes for Snow White and the Huntsman. Like the dresses, every new dress is just so vampy and so gorgeous. So like, yeah, for that alone, maybe just if it's on TV, turn off the sound and just look at it like it's a fashion show. It's just Charlize looking statuesque and gorgeous in these like black and gold bird fetish chic outfits. So what is your number then, my friend?
I give it a 4.
I'm saying 3.5. Our average is a 3.8. It is up to 19% now. It was in the 16, 17% range on the tomato meter, and now it's up to 19. I don't think it's going to go much higher. But hey, there's a third movie still, so maybe that'll take place in the future. Who knows? Bye. Bye.